You've done the preliminary testing. You've been tracking ovulation with sticks and gadgets and all the things. You've tried supplements, you've tried nutrition tweaks, but something still just doesn't feel like it's clicking. What if the real culprit in your fertility struggle is actually something you can't even feel or see? Or maybe you are feeling it, but you just don't know that you are. Let's talk about it and dive in. That is what we are going to cover on today's episode of Fertility by Design. I can't wait to get into it with you guys, so let's get started. God designed your body for fertility, but when the journey to parenthood feels like a heartbreaking mystery, it's so easy to feel lost. I'm Dr. Trisha, a nurse practitioner and fertility consultant who's been where you are. That's why I created Fertility by Design, where faith meets science to empower you with real solutions, holistic healing, and biblical encouragement. You are not alone. Your fertility is not broken. So let's walk this journey together. Welcome, y'all, to another episode of Fertility by Design. If we haven't met, I'm Dr. Trisha. I'm a nurse practitioner and fertility consultant, owner of TZ Fertility Consulting. I am so excited to talk about this silent alarm that gets set off in your body that actually keeps you from prioritizing procreation. I talk about it all the time, but that silent alarm is inflammation. And I know that that's a buzzword that's been spinning around. Oh, I have inflammation. I have inflammation. Do you have inflammation? Yes, you have inflammation. Guess what? You probably have inflammation. But the real key is, where is that inflammation coming from? Where is it stemming from so that we can get it at the root, heal our bodies, and use the tools that God has given us to drive that inflammation down, keep it from coming back, and then teaching our bodies to prioritize procreation and pregnancy yet again. So I'm going to dive into all of this as to why inflammation does set off this silent alarm and what could actually be triggering the inflammation, and a little bit about what we can do about it and ways that you can get more details and more support on these topics. So I hear it time and time again. I've been tracking my cycle. I seem to be ovulating okay. I've changed my nutrition. I'm working out. I'm doing all the things, right? You feel like you're doing all the things, but something just still isn't quite right. All your labs from your OB look fine, but this is just like the surface level. And when we start to dig deeper on a lot of these things, we start to see that your body is actually kind of waging a war against itself day in and day out, chronically, which is going to negatively impact our fertility. These things, yes, they are outside of our reproductive system, but they are going to impact our reproductive system and our ability to get and stay pregnant. Why? Well, the Lord designed us this way. If we're being attacked by a tiger or lion or bear, oh my, our body shouldn't be pregnant in those times when we're under duress, when we're under a lot of stress, if there's not food available, if there's not nutrients to support it. Our body is protected from procreating in that moment. And so what has happened over time with our lifestyle long-term, with the things that we are exposed to, the toxins, the endocrine disruptors, just the standard American diet, because it stands for SAD, which it is pretty sad compared to other countries. I actually have some new international clients who just started with me, and I'm like, oh, great, you're going to have access to really awesome food. And they do. So it's really cool. But that's the difference is SAD. Standard American diet, sad. Anyway, so when we start to peel back more layers, we can actually see that there is something driving this inflammation that's keeping your body from prioritizing procreation. You or your spouse, both of it. It takes two to tango. And, it may not even be anything that you're doing now. It could have been years ago. It could be your mom's microbiome. This is why I think it's so important for everyone before trying to conceive to really get their health into optimal condition and dig deeper in a GI map to see what their gut bacteria looks like, because you're going to pass that on. to your child. It's the gift that keeps on giving, for better or for worse. And we want to make sure that we prioritize that. And so this could actually be you inherited poor gut microbiome from your parents, and over the years of maybe not eating as well, not prioritizing protein and fiber, maybe stress. Stress is a huge one. A lot of times I hear when I got married, all these like little symptoms started to pop up. And it was a stressor, a good stressor, but planning a wedding and getting ready to spend the rest of your life with someone is a big stressor. And so a lot of times that's when these things will start manifesting, because we kind of had not a great runway, and then we're trying to take off now and things aren't so optimal as we maybe thought, and we're getting older, and so that starts to matter more. It matters then, but we start to see the trickle effect more as we age. And so it's just this big culmination of things that if there's underlying inflammation in the body, then our bodies cannot prioritize procreation because that silent alarm is going off. So let's dig a little bit deeper into that. When we talk about this silent alarm, it's really this chronic low-grade inflammation. It's one of the most underrated disruptors in fertility because sometimes we just don't even really feel it, or maybe it's those vague things that we've been struggling with. When you book a free call with me to learn more about working together, I have everyone fill out this thing called a medical symptom questionnaire. And it's really insightful, because almost everyone fills that out and has these things that are signs that there's more going on under the surface, yet they've been told everything is normal. And they're struggling with maybe this bloating or the painful periods, or maybe just acne or bumps on the skin. They're struggling with fatigue and low libido or allergy symptoms, you name it. There's all these underlying things that, you may have once upon a time gone to your doctor for, and they'd been like, nah, it's just fine, or just take this pill or whatever. But they're actually signs that your body is giving you that hey, there's something going on here and we need to dig deeper into it. And it's coming from a deeper rooted cause, which a lot of times just it's gut. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about. So when we see dysbiosis or some more troublesome bacteria taking up too much real estate over the good bacteria, we start to see gut lining breakdown. So some of these pathogens are I see a lot of H. pylori, streptococcus, staphylococcus, citrobacter, klebsiella, morganella, a lot of these different bacteria that can create chronic gut inflammation. And then these bacteria are going to feed away at the integrity of the gut lining. And that gut lining is really important for our nutrients to be able to get through, but nothing else. And when we're seeing other things get through, like toxins and proteins, gluten, things like that, getting through that lining into the extraintestinal system, we start to see the body trying to fight that because it's not supposed to be there, which is exactly what it's supposed to do. I don't want you to be confused. That's exactly what your body is supposed to do. But when that is broken down like that, day in and day out, and you're eating every day, right? So it's fighting that battle day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. It's that chronic underlying low-grade inflammation that your body is trying to put out a fire every single moment of every single day. And of course, when it's doing that, it can't prioritize procreation because it needs to focus on the organs that you need to survive, and your reproductive system isn't one of them. So this is why it matters. And we see so many other things happening here, and we can get a little bit more sciencey about it. So when we see the leaky gut happening, you've probably heard that term, things like the endotoxins like LPS, lipopolysaccharides, can enter into the bloodstream. And this activates those inflammatory cytokines. And then again, that is what is going to impair your body's ability to procreate because it's disrupting the hypothalamus pituitary ovarian axis that is going to regulate hormones, ovulation, and also can negatively impact implantation as well. But it also can affect the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis. It is going to impact male fertility as well because that inflammation is going to negatively impact your body's ability to produce high quality intact sperm to be able to create a healthy embryo. So it's really important for male fertility as well. One of the other things that I commonly see that can create inflammation in the body is insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is when your blood sugar is doing some roller coasters, right? And our body needs insulin to combat the rising glucose levels. So our pancreas secretes insulin. Great. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. But when it's doing that day in and day out, it starts to need more and more insulin to be able to have that lowering effect on the glucose levels. So if we're looking just at fasting glucose levels, we're not going to see insulin resistance until later stages. If we're looking just at A1C, which is your average blood sugar over 3 months, we might miss insulin resistance in its early stages. But if we look at the fasting insulin levels to look and see what is going on a regular basis, are those insulin levels actually high because your body is having to secrete more insulin right now to lower that blood sugar? So maybe blood sugar is in normal range, but fasting insulin is high. That's a good early predictor that our body is struggling with insulin resistance. This can negatively impact men and women and their egg and sperm quality. Common denominator in women struggling with PCOS and irregular ovulation is insulin resistance. It's going to disrupt those LH and FSH ratios, which are really important for ovulation to happen and for a good quality egg to be released. Insulin resistance can also negatively impact sex hormone binding globulin, which is going to negatively impact your body's availability of things like estrogen and testosterone in the body as well. I've also seen a lot of times where we look at these actual inflammatory markers in the serum, like hsCRP, homocysteine, and we actually see that these things are elevated. It's not typically tested in a traditional fertility workup. So these things are being missed. And when we take a closer look and peel back more of the layers, we can actually see the body is actually responding at a systemic level. And these put you not only at risk for infertility, but higher risk of heart disease, diabetes, all the things, and they're going to matter down the road later on too. So not just for your fertility, which is why I always say, yes, when we work together, we're focusing on fertility, but we're really focusing on your overall health to improve fertility. So these things work for anybody, whether you're trying to conceive or not, and they matter whether you're trying to conceive or not. One thing I've heard so many times is, oh, I have PCOS, but I'm not trying to conceive anymore, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, it does, because we know PCOS is tied later on in life to increased risk of heart disease, hypertension, diabetes. And so, yes, these things actually do matter for the long haul. Also, I go on and on about how when you learn these things now, they're gifts that you can continue to give to your family and your children that you are going to have and your children's children and so on and so forth. So it's really generational health instead of generational wealth. It's generational health, which is a type of wealth, right? And probably, in my opinion, one of the most wealthy things you can do for your family is to give them the gift of understanding their health at a deeper level like this. So when we look at hsCRP in the serum, we can start to see, okay, not where the inflammation is coming from, but the fact that there is inflammation present that might be silently stirring and brewing in your system. And we need to know, because that can really impair sperm quality, ovarian and uterine function, as well as egg quality. Homocysteine is an amino acid, which when that is elevated, it can show us that there's an increase in oxidative stress, endothelial dysfunction. It can cause reduced blood flow to the ovaries and the uterus. And that's, of course, going to also impact implantation potential. So inflammation can really negatively impact these feedback loops between your brain and your ovaries. So we don't want to miss these signals because they can suppress ovulation. They're going to create a poor environment for implantation. And for men, they're going to negatively impact count, motility, morphology, and DNA fragmentation, which is so, so important. The good news in all of this, if you find yourself in a situation where you have this underlying inflammation, is that it's totally addressable, and most of the times with very natural methods. Your body wants to heal, and God has given you the tools, so we just need to lean into those. First thing we really want to do is start by identifying and removing gut pathogens. For this, we do need testing. We need to see what is going on. Let's see that snapshot of your microbiome. What does your good protective bacteria look like? What do those opportunistic bacteria look like that might be taking up too much real estate and causing inflammation and breaking down the gut lining and driving a lot of these underlying symptoms, as well as your struggles with fertility? Then we need to repair the gut lining after we get rid of them, because if we just start trying to repair the gut lining, but we haven't dealt with the underlying issue, it's kind of like just continuing to put gas in your car, but not changing the oil. Everything is eventually going to fall apart. We also want to focus on reducing blood sugar spikes and insulin sensitivity. And a lot of this is really lifestyle and nutrition driven, making sure your plate is balanced, that you've got a good balance between protein, fat, and carbs, that we can take simple walks after meals. We can add apple cider vinegar before meals to help regulate our blood sugar. There's so many different little tiny lifestyle changes that we can make to help our insulin sensitivity, as well as some supplements and things as well too. We can track and monitor these serum inflammatory markers to make sure that those are coming down and we're bringing your body back to a place of safety. And then, of course, if homocysteine is an issue, we can help your body support methylation and give antioxidants to help reduce that inflammatory load. Utilizing these tools is really how we can move from unexplained infertility, because at this point, if you've heard me say anything, you've heard me say it's not actually unexplained infertility, it's just unexplored infertility, to really understanding and being empowered in our fertility journey to help healing happen. If this episode sparked some interest in you and you're ready to dig a little bit deeper, then I really think our 12 days of fertility is exactly what you need. You are going to receive 12 full days of resources that are going to break down key fertility labs, help you understand what they are, why you need them, and you are going to receive an interactive optimal lab tracker where you just pop in your numbers and it's going to tell you whether your labs are subnormal, normal, or optimal. And we know, as I've been talking, that optimal does matter for fertility. So you don't have to wonder anymore, okay, well, I was told everything's normal, but is it actually? You can just pop your numbers in yourself and it's going to tell you exactly whether they fall into optimal or normal ranges, or if they're really out of range and you need to take quicker action. So I love this resource because it is just so valuable in and of itself, because you don't have to Google to the depths of the internet anymore to figure out optimal. And are my labs normal or optimal, or what else could be going on? So love that. I also have included videos going over inflammation in depth, gut health more in depth, and insulin resistance as well to optimize your chances of conceiving. We also include meal plans and some more interactive guides and prayers and affirmations just to help you lift your mindset and mood during this journey. And just remember that God is with you in all of it, in the valleys, on the mountain. He's with you through all of the waiting, every detail he wants to be involved in. And so all of these 12 days are reminders that point back to his love and his support, but also the functional pieces that we need to help optimize our fertility and get answers beyond unexplained infertility. Okay? So if this is your next step, go ahead. You can find the link in the show notes. And right now, we're actually offering a special just for Black Friday. It is yours right now for $57 delivered straight to your inbox. And just think of how much time you can get back from Googling all of these things when you can just have them delivered straight to your inbox. So you're welcome. You're going to love it. I can't wait to hear how those 12 days go for you. And please join our free Facebook group as well. And you can share your wins, your struggles, your questions, all the things over there as well. We want to support you. So I hope you were blessed by this episode of Fertility by Design. And I hope you guys have a blessed Thanksgiving. Here's your little gentle reminder that on Thanksgiving Day, you are going to eat a high protein breakfast and lunch, and then enjoy whatever the heck you want for Thanksgiving dinner, and you're not going to think twice about it, okay? No more of the days of starving ourselves all day and then just saving it all for Thanksgiving dinner. Okay, that's all I have for you guys. So I hope you have a blessed week, and we will see you next time on Fertility by Design. That's it for today's episode of Fertility by Design. Subscribe so you never miss an episode, leave a review to help more couples find hope, and share this with a friend who needs encouragement on their fertility journey. Need even more support? Let's connect. Find me on Instagram at Tricia Zehrung for faith-filled fertility guidance, real solutions, and a community that just understands. Remember, your fertility is not broken. Your body is beautifully and wonderfully designed, and God's plan is always perfect. I'll see you next time.